Hello and welcome to Depth of Field. My name is Eric and we are broadcasting live from the Bean Duck Studios. This is a show about movies. So many of you might be used to video games and video game content. We might touch on video games a lot, but we're really into movies here. And I'm very excited to introduce my two guests for episode number 2. Two guests, episode 2. We have Darren Curtis, director extraordinaire, and Fred Bohbot, also director and producer extraordinaire. They work together on the movie Boost, which recently won a ton of awards at the Canadian Screen Awards. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us, Eric.
Well, this is kind of cool. I mean, I was just saying outside that this is an opportunity for us to literally just shoot the shit about movies.
Great.
And we're live for the next hour and a half. Make sure if you guys have questions, thoughts, comments, put them in the chat. We will answer any questions you have. And this is pretty cool because the Oscars were just the other day, and Mr. Bohbot over here actually won an Oscar a couple of years ago for a movie called The Lady in Number 6. We'll get to that, but let's start with Boost. So Tell me a little bit about Boost and how it came to be and what the story is.
Boost is definitely a Montreal set story. It focuses on the son of East African immigrant parents who works at a car wash for his uncle. And what he does there is that they sort of like scope out expensive cars, find out information, and then they go and they steal these cars for this, the uncle and this Russian mafia and everything. So really focuses on this teenager who's at this point in his life where he's trying to find himself and his identity. He's kind of making money with this illegal sort of hustle, and then he has this loudmouth sort of really kind of showy best friend who convinces him that they should kind of climb the criminal ladder and they should steal their own car, and obviously that ends up spiraling into a whole heap of trouble, and that's kind of what the movie's about. Is sort of a rite of passage crime story set in Montreal, very specifically Montreal.
Right, from your own experience, of course.
Exactly.
Right?
I mean,
you were boosting cars.
Boosting cars, exactly. I definitely. I mean, Montreal is that was sort of one of the things that kind of got the story rolling, was that Montreal is notorious for car theft. It's like
see, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But apparently, you got to watch your stuff around here.
Yeah, it's insane. Like I think that for like all of North America, it has one of the highest rates of automobile theft. And a friend of mine, his car was stolen like right off his front lawn. The Michael Glazer, a guy who donated his cars.
Four cars used in the film.
They all got stolen?
No, once the film was finished shooting, 2 days later, his car got stolen from his driveway.
Come on!
In the West Island.
What kind of car was it?
It was like Pontiac.
Like a nice Pontiac?
Yeah, Pontiac with a little like two-seater coupe thing, I forget what they're called.
Oh my God. And so did they ever recover it?
Solaris.
Yeah.
Pontiac Solaris.
Okay.
No.
They did. They found it in like the Fairview shopping center.
Yeah, because it's a port city, Montreal, so they shipped them like all to Europe, into the Middle East and everything. So that was sort of the beginning. It was like, okay, cool, let's like use this sort of real thing about Montreal, about the car theft, and sort of kind of carve a story that would be uniquely set in. That was like a big push for myself when we were originally kind of conceiving the story, was to do something that was outside of what you usually see, which would be, kind of like traditional white French stories told in Montreal. It was kind of nice to be like, let's like look at, just different areas and communities, especially the neighborhood that we live in borders, Park Extension, which is like a very vibrant, diverse community.
Very diverse.
Yeah, and you're like, how come there's no movies that are like set in this neighborhood in Montreal? There's like probably millions of stories that could be told about this thing, but we kind of see the same stuff over and over. So those two things were really kind of the two driving forces.
And if you grew up in Montreal in any sort of like immigrant-ish first generation milieu, you totally recognize like all the characters and all the different things that go on. And
the locations, and it's not just the typical touristy locations, but there's little inside winks for Montrealers to see in there. But it's also appealing to an international audience, and I believe the people out there, it's a fully international audience.
Right.
So what's well, first of all, how did you guys get together to work on it? You produced, you directed, and wrote it.
Yeah.
Right.
And Kieran Curley was the other producer.
Yes. Shout out to Kieran.
Kieran had worked with Darren a lot on a bunch of shorts, Kidnapper films.
Let's get to that soon. Yeah, I'm very excited to talk about that.
Darren was years into this process with other producers, then found himself without producers, and he came to speak to us, and we figured out a way to make it work for the money that we had.
And now, how many Canadian Screen Awards?
1. It was nominated for 5. It won 1.
Okay, so yes, it nominated for 5. It won 1 for Best
Lead
actor, right? Yeah. And there's a story that the people that you casted weren't necessarily the people you were going for, and they changed the whole nature of the film, right?
Yeah, exactly. Originally, it was written to take place in the South Asian community, and all the research and the cultural consultant, everything was built around that. So it was like very insightful. We were getting a lot of stories from him, and what he really liked about the script was, he was like, it's good because it's like a lot of time I think when they do these types of stories, it's so much about that the immigrant identity and this, like, how can I negotiate being from this background and living in in this contemporary world and all that stuff. And he was like, it was nice because in this movie it's more of just like a teenager going through what the type of shit that teenagers go through, that it's kind of more universal. It's not so much about him kind of battling his own culture, or like overbearing parents that want him to be a doctor or anything like that. I mean, it was all that stuff in it. It's sort of shading, but he's like, you have a genre movie at its core. It's like it's a crime thriller.
Yeah.
And he's like, to me, he's like, a lot of the kids that I know who are in their parents are working there, they don't speak English or French as their first language at home. He's like, they don't really grapple with that stuff so much. He's like, they're just teenagers. They're dealing with high school and social stuff. So that was a big part of what we really were like, okay, at its core, that to us is what's really going to make the characters relatable. So then through the casting process, we were seeing every South Asian actor in Canada. We open casting calls.
And in the UK.
Yeah.
And the US.
Really?
Yeah, we saw all of them. And
not all of them, but
we
we saw a lot.
we saw so many. And then Nabil, who we ended up casting as the lead, the film had been at the Canadian Film Centre for a couple of years. There was a chance that they were going to produce it through their fund, and he came in and just did a reading with us. We shot a couple of test scenes. I remember being like, this kid is amazing. He's so real and natural, and he was actually reading for the other part in that scenario. So he was playing kind of the loudmouth, showy best friend or whatever. But we were like, okay, you know what? We're having trouble finding. Let's bring him in and just sort of see how he reads both these parts and everything. And when we saw him, man, this guy is really good. And then our casting agent in Toronto, Jonathan Olivieri, was like, he's like, this might be a bit problematic, but I think you should really see this other actor who was on Degrassi, Jamil French. He's really, really talented, and I think the two of them will have great chemistry. Problem is, neither of them are South Asian. Nabil is Eritrean, so we ended up taking a lot of his personal life, and actually grafting it onto it. And for him, he was like, it's freaky because there's stuff in the script that's very similar. It very parallels my own life living, outside of Toronto in Scarborough. And then Jamil also, was very sort of not what the way that we imagine it. We were just kind of like, shit, these guys are so good. When we put them together for the chemistry reading during the casting, we were like, oh man, you just want to hang out with these guys. You just want to be in a car with them.
And this is 10 days before we're supposed to start shooting.
Right. So all of a sudden you had to flip everything around.
And then and I think it was just that embracing of being let's have the actors really embody these characters and take a lot of stuff from their own lives. Nabil brought in a lot, but it meant having to recast the uncle, having to recast the mom, having to recast the younger brother.
Having to redecorate the home.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
things that you don't necessarily think about.
Yeah.
No, it was to Darren's credit. I was opposed to it.
Really? Did you guys get into a big argument?
No. It was just sort of are you sure? Because this is going to cause a lot of other issues that we need to deal with.
There's a butterfly effect
rewrite
here.
The script.
Yeah.
We had to call the art director who was on a limited budget and say, all that stuff you bought for the Indian home is gone.
Wow.
And now you got to find something. We didn't even know what, because it depended on the mother.
Yeah.
We only got the mother in the last week.
Yeah.
So then, and she's
Yeah.
Nigerian? So it's Nigerian, but the father was Eritrean. So we wrote that into the script. It was just bananas.
it actually kind of worked out. We were kind of okay, this family.
It was great.
Yeah, because even with Antari, with him, we were kind of okay, maybe they call him uncle, that they're not blood related or whatever,
Antari, because Eritrean, or there's a very specific look to them that's different than everyone else.
Yeah, and he speaks Tigrinya in the movie. because he actually speaks it. So there's like a rad scene at the beginning where he calls home to his father, who's back home, and he got to speak like his native language, and he was saying like when they showed the movie in Toronto and like a bunch of like the people from his community went to go see it, they were all freaking out because they've never heard like in a feature-length film characters speaking this language, you know. And it was like for us, it's like as a director writer, like it's amazing because it's like when people see that, like it's like freaky, you know. You're kind of like, oh my god, like this feels like a real conversation. Like this doesn't feel like this kid is acting or anything. It just feels like this is a real person having a real phone call with his estranged father and stuff. And it's right near the beginning of the movie. I really kind of feel like it's a very quiet beat, and I think it really kind of pulls people in, and they're like, oh man, like this is like a real this could be a real kid, you know.
Well, let's see a little bit of the film. I think we have a clip.
Sure, yeah.
And feel free, if while we're watching it, if there's anything that you want to explain or if you want to break down anything for us.
Yeah, it'll pause.
Yeah, well, we can if you want.
It's up to you guys. Yeah.
The boost.
Or we can just watch it and we'll talk about it
clip?
after.
Sure.
I think it's a good chunk, this clip.
Do you want to set it up? Wow, I feel like we're a real talk show.
Yeah.
Why don't you set up this clip?
Oh yeah, okay. So this was actually, I think the reason I picked this clip, I think because you were like, okay, if you want to talk about the filmmaking sort of point of view, there's like a lot of good stuff, mostly a lot of about acting and locations, like you'll see in the clip. We only built one set in the movie, and it was just out of convenience because one of the main actors, we only had him for a couple of days, so we had to build a locker room at this location, which is kind of like a junkyard that we found. But I feel with indie movies, especially this one, like we went out of our way to go to these actual places, and you can see just how much weight you like versus if we had tried to build these things.
Look at this garage that you're going to see.
Oh, I remember the garage.
And just imagine that we just found it like that. Like we didn't dress it almost at all. That's what we found.
Okay.
That's
the magic.
It's like $5 million couldn't have gotten us this garage.
Yeah. And like they were so excited, like all the guys that were there, they thought it was so cool, and they like let us play with all the shit and everything.
And they have a forklift to take out crushed cars. And the guy is just watching the place, like, hey, can you grab the forklift and pull out a car? Yeah, sure. And they're like, so we're filming all this, and it's like, oh my god,
like the production value you get for nothing, just because we're like, okay, let's just go to the place. I mean, it's a schlep, like we're like way out, super far east and north, but like once you're there, and they used it for a bunch of stuff, like offices, and like you'll see there's like I think a couple of scenes one after another that take place all at the same thing, but it's like it was crazy how much value you get, and I mean, I didn't even think it cost that much, and like they were super.
Over a weekend.
Yeah, and they were super happy to do like the thing with the sparks. They like were like cutting cars open for us and stuff.
Really?
Yeah. It was
so you kind of lucked out because if you were trying to do that in LA, for example.
I imagine everybody would have just been
and
like.
We really, I forgot what I was going to say, but we just lucked out with. For me, who comes from more of a documentary, but it's my first fiction film, and to see like the uncle who's plays a prominent role in the film. He was there for 3 days of the entire shoot.
Right. Exactly.
And he came in. We cast him on a Monday. He came in on Wednesday, shot Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and left.
Yeah.
This is the badass, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is he going to be in the clip?
Yeah, exactly. So we can talk about it afterwards. We can like sort of talk about him getting cast, and then just sort of the dynamic with the younger actors and the more experienced actors and everything. And you can see the beautiful cinematography from Pavel, and we'll talk about it afterwards.
Right.
Pavel, who also shot Hereditary recently.
No kidding.
He was the DP on Hereditary.
That's a great movie.
Yeah,
that
it's
really
amazing.
freaked
This is a great movie too.
Yeah, well, this is a great movie.
There's no Hereditary, but it's okay.
Let's have a look.
I'm kind of giving a lot of it away here. I think at this point.
Where were you last night? What happened?
Nothing. We went to drop the car off at the container. With you, he told us to bring it back.
Why were you not with him?
He dropped me off in my place.
Didn't leave you at your girlfriend's place, maybe? Tell me now everything that happened.
That's all. Okay, I just spent the night over. Where are you talking about?
Anthony was speeding. It was an accident. The other driver was killed and another one was...
Ram, come on, man. I told you shit was an accident. Okay, the car was fucked. Must have gotten fucked when it was commissioned or some shit.
God wasn't recommissioned, man. It was good.
Well, it was an accident. Let me go back.
Left your fucking phone in the car. What did I tell you? I can find you. Is there anyone else you went? Did the car? No, the car was stolen.
No.
No.
I'm not lying. Okay, nothing else.
All right, we need to get him out of here. Let's go.
What do you mean? Take me out.
Talking like I don't know. You're lucky for this, Mike. If it was me, it's another story. I'll take him home. Yes. I'm going to drop you at school. Anyone asks us, you haven't seen it.
Is he gonna be okay?
If I were you, I'd be less concerned about him. I'm more worried about yourself. Let's go.
And there we have it.
Yeah.
Right. So that was midway through, or I guess.
Yeah, it's like I'd say, about midway through. A little bit further. This is definitely when the shit hits the proverbial fan.
Right. And so, I mean, you came from comedy,
Yeah.
right? You were originally, I knew you originally from as a member of Kidnapper Films, which I guess for people out there who aren't familiar with Kidnapper, it's kind of like it was a sketch comedy filmmaking team, a bit Upright Citizens Brigade or
Definitely Kids in the Hall. I feel like that was a huge inspiration growing up watching those guys and being like, oh, fuck, like we should try and do this. And
with some really funny stuff there.
Thank
They're
you.
still online, no?
Yeah, definitely. You could check them out.
Okay, yeah.
I think on the Vimeo page has a bunch of them and everything. They're in standard definition, so you probably do not.
What's that?
Yeah, I know. Very old school.
But so how did you go from doing sketch comedy to something this serious?
I mean, I guess I always loved thriller films, definitely crime thrillers and genre stuff. And it's like, I think in the same way that comedy elicits like a physical reaction, you're laughing. With thrillers, suspense films, like I love just something where there's tension, where you're kind of like, oh fuck, like what's gonna happen? So, and I think from like a filmmaking perspective, a lot of the Kidnapper stuff, even though it was, sketch stuff, we used to sort of do like rip-offs of movie genres, like the Christmas Miracle one had like a lot of grotesque imagery in it, and it was very kind of suspenseful. So I think underneath there was always that appreciation of filmmaking craft, and to me, like a thriller, a suspense film, between the music and acting, editing, rhythm and stuff, it really is something where you need like a lot of control and stuff. So I would definitely, as somebody who works at editing and writing and directing, it's like it kind of feels like it's like the full package. So then, that was it. The telefilm we had done, Who is KK Downey? Which was
great film.
Indie feature, like made, for no money. All of us from Kidnapper kind of doing like our version of Brain Candy. And it got, luckily was distributed theatrically, self-distributed theatrically. So in the eyes of Telefilm, they were like, you guys are filmmakers. Like you can apply for money, you can apply for grants. And I had this idea to do a car theft movie set in Park Extension. And there was a Telefilm initiative that they wanted to develop 5 genre films, which was great because I think for a long time, people would not usually associate Canadian films with genre.
With the genre, yeah, exactly.
And this was a while ago. This was like in 2009, 2010 when that program was out. And I was like, whatever, I'll write up this treatment and like got super discouraged. I wasn't going to submit it. And then like the last minute I was like, oh, fuck, you know, like I have an ending for this thing. It's really bad, but it's an ending. So like, I'm just gonna put it in and submit it, and luckily it got chosen. And it was an amazing program. Like we were in it with like a bunch of other Montreal filmmakers and stuff. Mary Herron, who did American Psycho, came in for a day to speak to us about filmmaking
Really?
and stuff.
Cool.
Like it was this most insane, like awesome program. And that's where Boost came from. That was like, it was a treatment written for that. And then slowly got development money over the years and went through different hands and everything. Finally landed with Fred and Kieran.
So you're coming from comedy and you're coming from documentary, and the two of you guys end up working on a genre film.
Right.
About car theft.
Yeah.
So is there anything you want to describe about that scene, or was it, is there anything that...
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely like, if you, indie filmmaking 101, you know? It's like, we got really good production value just from the locations. The main actor there who plays the uncle who's grabbing everybody by the neck, he was basically the same type of thing. Our casting director was like, okay, you guys have like a very small window now. You need an African-American actor to play this part. There's this guy who's gonna be like an up-and-coming actor. He's like, all you're gonna do is basically send him a monetary amount, be like, are you willing to come to Montreal for 4 or 5 days to do this? And that's it. And like our cast director is like, in the best case scenario, this guy will read the script and like it and say yes. And as a writer director, you've been working on the script for so long, and you're just like, holy shit! Like we're just gonna cast like a guy that we've never seen before.
And we need this guy to be on set next Friday, and it's Friday before. And we're shooting, like we're in the middle of,
And you're
or it's the
recasting
days off,
and
I'm not sure what it is.
reorienting the whole story.
Because as it
Adjusting.
changed, the race changed, we lost all these actors. But we scheduled everything so that we didn't need them right away.
Yeah.
But so anyway.
So yeah, so it's like,
just
so
trying to put
I'm just
perspective
like,
in this.
you know what, like, okay,
panic.
let's do it. Like, I trust you as a casting director. You seem to really understand the story. You think this guy would be great. You're telling me it would be a blessing if he agreed to do it. So yeah, let's do it. So he goes, they give him the pitch, they do everything. He's like, yeah, sure. He's going to come in, and that's it. We hadn't seen him read or anything, and they're like, you can meet him at the Queen Elizabeth, like the day before you start shooting with him.
What's his name?
Antari
Amwine. Antari.
What terrible producer directors you
No,
are.
but he has a long name, but I'm sorry, Antari.
Yeah.
Antari Amwine is what
I'm not sure.
We
he's
call him
watching,
Antari
but-
the whole time. Yeah, I don't even think I'm pronouncing that right or whatever. And it's funny too. He's actually on that TV show, the Chai, like the Chai. Yeah. So it's like everything like I'm always mispronouncing like Antari, and then he's like, no, that's not how you say my name, and that's not the name of the show that I'm on. But so anyways, we met him like the day before at the Queen Elizabeth, like, and just to talk over the script, and he had like ideas and questions about all this stuff, and like he's super soft spoken, like super reserved and down tempo, and I'm just like, fuck, man, like
it's not
I don't
scary
know.
at all.
Yeah, like if this guy is going to be able to do it, and like we're shooting with him tomorrow, and this is the scene that he's doing. Is this one where he's like,
The very first scene is that scene where he grabs him by the neck.
yeah. So we haven't seen anything or whatever. So we're like on the day, like super nervous, and it's like, okay, action, and like they're all coming in, they're like kind of doing the scene and like kind of doing it, and then like he does the thing where he like grabs him by the neck, and everyone's like behind the camera on the monitor, it's just like, oh man, like and it's just like it just really looked and felt like like he was intimidating and everything, and you're just like, okay, cool, this is gonna work. This is like, there's a lot in, I guess, that process of making a film. Like, that's what I love the most about it, is collaborating. Like, I love working with all the different departments, and like everybody kind of like, okay, let's like, figure out the best way to tell this story, and the give and take. And, even with the casting director, if he's like, I know who we should go for, it's somebody you have to put complete faith in me to do this, to fill out this role. And it's one of those things where you're like, this is amazing. Like, I never would have been able, in a million years, been able to find this person, and you were able to do it. And then now he's on set, he's like killing it. Like, every scene that he's in, he's super intimidating, and like doing exactly, being that presence that's so necessary to sell it. And I think just, like what Robert Altman says, like a director's job, 90% of a director's job is the casting, you know? And that's, as a director, that's the most important thing you're doing on set, is you're working with the actors. Like, you have all these department heads, you have amazing cinematographers, lighting, grip, production design, costume, sound, all these people are amazing. The only person that's really talking to the actors is you, and making sure that the performances are, perfect, that they're delivering exactly what it is that you need. And I think that, most films to regular people, like people that, don't make movies, people that just go and see movies, films are performances. Like, if they don't buy the people that they're seeing on screen, it could look beautiful, it could have the most stirring original score, it could be all these things, but if you're like, these people don't feel real, like these people I don't buy what it is that they're selling. Yeah, and I feel like that's like with superhero films, why they get these huge actors to do them is because it's like you just need these people that these are great actors. Like if they're not in these superhero movies, they're winning Oscars or like doing really cool stuff. But I think to make that something as insane as like an Avengers movie feel believable, you need to be grounded with those performances. And so I think the reason that people I think really responded to this film Boost, was they were like, these feel like real people. Like I feel like I'm watching real kids going through real shit and everything.
And to bring it to where this was coming from, it's from the casting director, is what he was talking about.
Yeah, right. So I went a little bit.
So the casting director is who found us. Yeah. Jamil French, Olunike Adelaide,
he was Maxim, the Montreal casting director.
Olunike? Okay. Anyway, casting directors can help you.
Crucial.
But that brings up an interesting topic, because the other day was the Oscars,
right.
And so we're talking about all these different departments and all these. You the other day posted on Facebook before the Oscars rescinded their decision to put certain categories during the commercials. You were quite outspoken about that.
Well, I wouldn't say I was so outspoken, but I found it quite surprising that they would cut out the cinematographer and the editor.
Right, of all things, right?
Like, it's kind of, they're two, like someone who filmed it, and then someone who put all the pictures together, yet you keep, no offense to sound editors or mixing, I mean, it's not to qualify one or the other, but without...
No, absolutely.
The footage, like without the filmed stuff and it being put together, there's nothing else you can do, so it was a weird decision, and they changed their mind. That's
true, and the no host thing. Well, I don't know if let's talk Oscars. I want to know your Oscar experience too, because you won in 2014 for The Lady in Number 6.
Yeah.
But before we get to that, what did you guys think of this year's Oscars?
To be honest, I moved the day before, so I didn't watch them, but I was following it as it was going, as I was unloading boxes and whatever. But my girlfriend was showing me pictures of the dresses. And I was looking and I'm like, who's that? Who's that? Who's that? Like, am I completely out of the loop? Or was there less stars? Was it less appealing this year? Was it, it felt less grandiose, less like a thing, like a big thing. And maybe because of all the way the Academy has misplayed every possible play they could have made this year, they misplayed it. So they're screwing themselves in many ways,
Were you surprised at any of the winners, any of the picks, performances?
I haven't seen a lot of the Oscar movies. Like I really have to see The Favorite. I feel like that
it looks pretty cool. I have to admit,
I heard but everyone said it's fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm surprised Vice didn't win more. I heard Vice was great.
I was disappointed that Black Klansman didn't pick up Best Picture, because I think Spike Lee said something recently. He said, every time there's a movie with someone driving in it, I don't win.
Driving Miss Daisy.
Yeah, that was the year.
Well,
Driving Miss Daisy was the year of Do the Right Thing.
Yeah.
And but apparently he walked to the back of the room and threw a bit of a tantrum.
I'm not sure I want to see Spike Lee's acceptance speech for the best film.
No, exactly.
It would be very energetic.
Like, fuck you guys, I won in your face. I don't know what he said.
But it would be entertaining. Did you guys see Black Klansman?
No.
I did. I liked it.
Yeah, great movie.
I was watching the clips, hearing the score again. I was like, man, the score is so good in that movie. I forgot.
Is it Terrence?
It's somebody who does. He does it for, I think, all, because I remember I looked it up right afterwards because it sounded familiar to Inside Man, and I remember being like, this. I love this score. Like it's just it's this really kind of big kind of I don't know, it's like gothic almost or something. Like I feel like they did something that was really similar in Black Klansman, and then the other one was First Man.
Did you like that?
I love First Man.
Didn't that win?
I won for VFX, and then they ended up which was weird because I think they did a lot of the stuff like practically. They
Yeah,
tried to like do.
They were inside a rocket.
Yeah, and so even I think when they were accepting, they're like, this is sort of weird because like you have like a movie that was made in a computer, you know, like Avengers or whatever, and then like we did everything kind of like old school, and we're the one winning the VFX stuff. But they were playing the same thing in the clips with the original score from First Man. I was like, oh man, this is epic. Like it sounded so rad, you know. But yeah, I was a little bit disappointed that one didn't get more nominations.
I'm going to give a bit of a hot take here. Speaking of music and film, everybody is going crazy about Shallow or The Shallows or the Lady Gaga, Bradley Cooper, and I never thought it was a very good song in the first place. I don't understand what the big deal is. It feels like a
song written for a movie. Like
it is a song written.
Yeah, I know,
for a
but it's a thing of like in movies, like it's really difficult to do. Like sometimes I'll be like, okay, this is like a movie about a famous artist, and they try to show the art, and you're just like, it doesn't look like real art. You know, like it's such a rare thing to be able to, like for a production designer or a props person to be able to do. I feel sometimes with music, like in movies, they're like, this is the most popular musician in the world, and this is his song, and you're just like, yeah, I don't think that would be a popular song.
Right, exactly.
You know, because like if you were that good at it, you wouldn't be making a movie with this. You'd just be selling that music on its own. So I feel like that's like that song. It just feels like the beginning's really good, and then it's just like a little like just too much.
What about Footloose?
Great song. Come on.
Great movie.
I'm just like soundtracks used to be really popular. I used to buy soundtracks.
Okay, greatest
on
soundtrack.
CD.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Jesus.
They were just rating them before. We used to listen to that Boogie Nights one like fucking obsessively.
I mean, you got those fun ones, like the Tarantino ones.
Mm-hmm.
I remember even when I was young, I bought the Last Temptation of Christ.
Oh, was that
Peter
That was
Gabriel?
Peter Gabriel,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
It was a strange thing for like a 17-year-old metalhead.
Well,
to be
okay,
listening
fair
to,
enough.
you know?
But
maybe you're just
even
into
I'd be in
Jesus.
my room
Into
like,
being
weird. I
like,
can't believe I'm listening to this.
I remember
Like
when
Metallica and then Last Temptation of Christ.
Well, speaking of Metallica, so there was. Do you guys remember there was a movie called Judgment Night?
oh yeah, best.
So the soundtrack for that was
Sonic
amazing.
Youth and Cypress Hill,
Yeah.
like all the mashups, like hip hop, and yeah, it was amazing. I don't know why they don't do that anymore.
Because it costs too much.
Dead Prez. Do you remember
Yeah,
a
Dead
movie called Dead
Presidents.
Prez?
Yeah.
Sorry, Dead Presidents.
Yeah.
I think, that
I had that
soundtrack was
soundtrack.
Yeah.
It's great
amazing.
soundtrack.
Yeah, a lot of those Philip Glass ones too, like the Errol Morris documentaries, like
That's what puts me to sleep.
it does, Standard
Errol Morris
operating
films put me to
procedure.
sleep because of the music. And
Or Baraka.
Yeah.
Like I love that. Dead Can Dance. Well, actually, what did I see recently that had Dead Can Dance? Oh, I think it was Lords of Chaos, which I will talk about soon.
Oh, nice, you saw it.
We have
are
a
we going to
question.
play the trailer for Lords of Chaos?
Yes, we will.
Okay, because I'd like to see it. Go ahead.
Yeah. But first of all, there is a question.
Oh, yeah.
Is this from someone out there in internet land?
Oh,
Okay.
cool.
Do we know the person's name? This. Okay, so the question is, how did you find the experience of going from the indie you mentioned before to something larger in scale like Boost, or whatever your first larger film was?
Right. So the first one, Who's KK Downey, was made like as a collective. We all co-wrote it. Matt Silver and Pat Kiley and Dan Haber, myself and Pat Kiley co-directed it. We starred in it, which is like, there's nothing worse than being on set, like especially because like I had like an insane haircut and these like really like it was like stupid like I was like, wearing like this really stupid hipster costume, and then having to go behind the camera and like direct scenes and shit. Like I don't know how like Mel Gibson did it in Braveheart or whatever, like covered in blood. Which
the
one?
Jesus one.
Which one?
Mel Gibson did the Jesus movie.
But he wasn't
in
it.
Last Temptation of
Was
Christ.
he?
was
No,
he?
not Last Temptation.
Right.
Passion of the
You're
Christ.
right. Passion of the Christ.
Yeah.
I never saw it, so I don't know. Yeah, okay.
It's really good.
Yeah?
Passion of the Christ. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, it's surprising. And Apocalypto.
Oh, that was cool. I
That's
liked.
a fucking good
yeah.
movie. But so anyway, so with Boost, it was nice to be just the director, So that was for me like a big thing where you're kind of like, okay, cool, like everyone's just gonna look at this guy. He's the director. Like it's not some actor guy who's running in front of the camera and delivering lines and going behind it. And also because it was just so like with Who Is KK Down to the indie, you're doing everything. Like you're working like in so many different capacities. You're like using like my photography equipment for like a scene that's supposed to be at a photo studio. So like you're kind of wrangling that and doing this shit, like logistics, everything is super difficult. With Boost, it had, the traditional, it was very low budget still, like in the grand scheme of things. But
What was the budget? Are you
$1 million.
Million?
yeah.
$1 million.
$1 million.
Yeah.
We could make
Which sounds like a lot, but it's not.
No, for a
nothing.
movie,
And,
that's peanuts.
I'm the simple answers person, but the simple answer to that question, you have a $500,000 movie, you're making your movie and no one's getting paid. You have a $1 million movie, you have the same movie as a $500,000 movie, but people are getting paid a little bit.
Yeah.
And even a $1.5 million movie, I don't think you're making a different movie. People are just getting paid kind of what they should be getting paid.
And is that par for the course?
I would say so.
Yeah,
I mean,
think getting it's really nice being able to pay people. Like when
like Boost, we paid everyone. Everyone was paid. Everyone was paid union, whatever the unions dictated, but the minimums. And
it helps though. It's
it's not a bad amount to be paid. It's just that normally people are getting paid more. So that's where you're going from $1 million to 1.5.
Yeah.
People are getting what, say, the standard street rate is for whatever the.
I mean, it's funny too because we had a couple of people who worked on like the X-Men movies all summer who were kind of like, okay, like we're gonna be at the end of the season, like we've made a boatload of money from these X-Men movies. Let's just do like one little indie Canadian just to sort of help them out and everything. So it's cool because you're getting the time that we shot in September, early October. A lot of these people, those summer movies are winding down. They're like, we're gonna go on vacation, but we'll do like one local shoot just for fun, and it's great because they're used to working on these huge, massive movies. They have like all these tricks and tips and shit and all that stuff. But I think that's like working with a budget and having your department heads and people that are like really kind of going above and beyond, people who have read the script and like this has a lot of potential to be really cool. I like the people I'm working with. I like the director. I like the cast a lot. I really want to bring like my A game and to make this a really superior film. To me, that's what's great, where you're kind of, you're not getting exhausted because like you're up at night, doing the schedule and shit. You're like, you have a first AD who's like, really working hard to make it happen. You have a great cinematographer.
ADs, eh?
Yeah, insane. And then so that I think that's me. That's what I really liked about this is just being able to be like, I just have to be like the captain of the team and just really motivate people to bring their best every day. And then seeing what the results are and being blown away all the time. Like there's so many times where like I look at this movie, I'm just like, even the sound people that came down the road, like the sound editors and mixers, they were nominated for Canadian Screen Award. And like at first I think they were kind of like, who are these like little shits? Like they're just like making so many demands, but like, working with them over and like they were just kind of like, okay, like we like what they're doing, we like this film, we want to make it better and better. And then at the end, it was nice to be like, through our kind of excitement and our motivation, and our collaboration, we, I think elevated everybody's game a little bit. Everybody
really bought into Boost. It was a beautiful, like for me, it was my first experience in fiction, and it was, I think, I'm afraid it'll be the best experience I ever had. It was if anyone's watching who worked on Boost, I love everyone who worked on it. But I think even though a lot of them worked for less than what they normally work for, when I bump into them on the street, there's genuine like joy of seeing each other because we had a nice experience together.
Now, like you said, this was your first fiction, you came from documentary, and now let's get to the movie that won you the Oscar, The Lady in Number 6. This was 2014, the movie was 2013.
I mean, the movie was actually shot in 2010.
Right, and this is the story.
It's a strange thing.
Break it down for us.
It's a story of the oldest Holocaust survivor at the time. She was 110 when she died. She was 106, almost 107 when we shot with her. It's a funny, basically we did a development shoot. We shot the movie in 5 days. Kieran Crilly, who co-produced Boost, was doing camera. He shot a bunch of my documentaries in the past. We went out together, just the two of us, to do a development shoot with this old lady because we thought she might die and we needed to get some footage. And then we could maybe sell the documentary and go and do a much bigger film.
Oh, okay.
And we made a short demo that summer. Nobody was interested in it. It's a story about positivity. It's a story about...
she's a musician.
She's a piano player, and she survived by playing the piano. She survived the camps by playing the piano, and she says that music saved her life altogether. She talks about optimism. There's a lot of wisdom in this movie, which we didn't even know that we had until while we were shooting it, to be honest.
Well, that's the magic, right?
Yeah.
That's can we cue up the clip? Actually, are we Lady in Number 6? And then, so I think we'll watch the trailer. Mm-hmm. I think this is it's how long? 11 minutes, the movie itself?
No, that's it's 38 minutes.
Oh, it's 38 minutes. That's right.
The 11 minutes is what's on YouTube. And everyone's like, oh, I saw it. I'm like, no, you saw the 11-minute version.
Oh, right. And this won you an Oscar.
Yeah.
What was that like?
It was, I'd love to go back because it was so surreal that it never fully sunk in. Even weeks later, it was, it's a funny thing. Like, we made this film, these producers in LA saw it. They said they can get it to the Oscars. We're like, yeah, sure, whatever. Bullshit. They did. So then you end up there, and, we went through, like, the red carpet, the whole thing. I mean, it was interesting. It was obviously like.
Must have been weird walking the red carpet where nobody knows who you are.
Yeah. It was also humbling in a funny way because there's a publicist and she'd be like, take you up to the press line. We got there early because we knew they wouldn't care until when the stars got there. And so she'd be like, these are the people who did The Lady in Number 6, the short documentary. And they'd just look at you, think about it, and like, nah, get out of here. You're like, okay, fine.
Sucks to be me, right?
But you're still like, in that environment. You know that speech Louis C.K. did a couple of years after that? He gave the award to the best short documentary, and he sort of, I don't know if you could find it, but he makes this great speech about how, this Oscar doesn't, like if you win the Oscar, Brad Pitt or whatever, it's cool, but it's not going to change your life. He's like, for these people, it's going to change their lives.
Yeah.
He's like, this person is going to drive home in their Honda Civic with their fucking Oscar.
Did you have a Honda Civic at the time?
No, but I had a 17-year-old. I had a 13-year-old Passat, So there was a lot of truth to that, but it was still like,
It's good that you guys won. Like, I think that's what Kieran was saying too, where he was like, afterwards, it was nice because like when you were at the parties and stuff, they'll be like, who the fuck are you? Like, what are you with? And you just had to show the Oscar, and people were like, oh, right this way. Just don't read what it says.
No, it was fine. I mean,
do we have the photo, by the way? Oh no, we'll do the clip first, and then we'll come back and see the photo.
We went to the Vanity Fair party, and
that's a good one. Did you hobnob?
No, I mean, I was smashed at that point. To be honest, they're serving big glasses of scotch, and it was. I mean, I remember at 4 a.m. being back at our apartment, or at my apartment, and Carl Fried, the editor, and I were standing outside in the dark, and he was waiting for a taxi, and we just sort of looked at each other, just going like, what did we just go through?
I remember being at, it was at the Grammys, and I was there filming something, and I went to one of the after parties, and all of a sudden I'm at the buffet standing at the shrimp bowl, standing beside Weird Al Yankovic, and I was
wow.
And I was totally starstruck. I was like, oh my God, you're Weird Al, and he was just like, yes, I am, and we had a nice conversation. But it's totally surreal, these experiences when you're like.
And I can't approach celebrities. I mean, I don't care enough, I think, and I'm also like, what am I going to say to you? Like, I was a huge Metallica fan, and like huge when I was a teenager, and I bumped into 2 of the guys downtown one day, and I was like, hey, you're the guys from Metallica, and they said, yeah. And I was like, I don't know you. I have nothing to say to you.
Have a great day.
I'm a fan. Like everybody said, yeah, I'm a fan. Okay, see ya. I just like walked away.
No big.
I mean, what do you want me to say? So
their feelings were probably hurt because like he didn't even want us to sign anything.
Yeah, maybe.
Let's see a clip of The Lady in Number 6. We'll come back and we'll talk about Metallica. Okay, we're going to fix the sound problems. This reminds me of that time that I was once doing a movie review on a morning show, and it was what was the movie? What was the one where it was the team that killed Bin Laden?
The SEAL Team 6, Zero Dark 30?
Zero Dark 30.
Yeah, and when we threw to the clip, it didn't work, and so I was like, well, why don't I just reenact it? And I was like, let's get Osama!
You're gonna die!
It was not the best reenactment. Okay, here we go, take 2, The Lady in Number 6.
In this block is having classical music beautifully played morning and afternoon.
My world is music. I am not interested in anything else. joy. In my house, for instance, I am the only one who is laughing. Nobody laughs here in this house.
I can say without hesitation that the cello saved my life because I knew what was going on in Auschwitz. So I became a member of this orchestra, which was a completely life-saving because as long as they wanted music, they couldn't put us in the gas chamber. I mean, you know, there's a certain amount of logic in the Germans.
I knew that we will play. And I was thinking, when we can play, it can't be so terrible. The music. Music is in the first place of art. It brings us on an island with peace, beauty, and love. Music is a dream. Music is a dream.
It's mind-blowing to see it again, you know? Like, she went into the camps when she was 39.
39.
Oh, that's crazy.
Oh my God.
Like, it's like the age gap is just, and her son died when he was 65. She was like 94 or something.
How did you find her? Like, what was the process?
Malcolm Clark, the director, and I were working on another film, and there was a woman in New York named Caroline Stossinger who knew Alice. And she kept telling us, you gotta make a movie about Alice, this Holocaust survivor. Alice is a Holocaust survivor. And Malcolm had done a film about Kurt Geron, who did propaganda films for the Nazis. I did a film about an ex-Nazi professor I had at Concordia.
What?
And both of us, yeah, it's my first film.
Oh.
And both of us were like, no Holocaust movies were done. It's hard making a Holocaust film, and you know, they're not big, huge Holocaust films that we've done. And Malcolm was nominated for an Oscar for that film about Kurt Geron also. It's called
really?
Prisoner of Paradise. Anyway, neither of us wanted to do it. For 2 years, she was hounding us. And then Malcolm ended up in London, and he just went to see Alice. And then he called me and said, I met her, she's amazing. It's not about the Holocaust, it's about this amazing lady.
It's the power of music.
Yeah. And he said, we got to get there like super fast because she's 106 and she's going to die soon.
Jeez. And she passed away not long after.
No, she passed away a week before the Oscars.
A week before the Oscars, right? Oof.
So we literally like kind of.
That's what like Malcolm was joking about. He's gonna be like, oh man, they're gonna think that like.
No. But so we just dropped everything and went out there. And it was supposed to be, like I said, it was going to be a development shoot, and we couldn't sell it, so we decided to try to make something with it, just what we had, just as a like commemoration to this lady. And it fell in. There was a bunch of legal bullshit that happened. Her grandson tried suing us.
Oh my God, are you serious?
No one was interested in what we were doing until they found out that Malcolm was an Oscar winner, and then everyone started getting like dollar signs in their eyes, and it was really.
That's what happens for you now. Anywhere you go, you're like, Oscar winner, dollar signs.
Yeah, exactly.
Making it rain.
It's funny, after this, I mean, I almost closed my company a year after, because it's as if everyone thought I was too big to work with them, so no one would call me, and
That's
I couldn't
like
get anything
the
done.
supermodels saying that no guys will approach me.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of. Now, so you've done a couple of documentaries, and one thing that I found very interesting is I was looking at your IMDb, and something that's on there right now in, I guess, in pre-production or post. It
says it's in development.
It's in development, right? So this is Heavy Metal Revisited. This is the
Well, let's talk about the one movie that we can't make and we're not going to make. No.
but it will lead me to talking about metal and Lords of Chaos.
Sure.
So yeah. But so what?
The director, Evan Beloff, is the director, and Evan and I have made a bunch of films together, 3 or 4 or 5. He's wanted to do this for years. It's about the history of this crazy movie that was made. It was principally made in Montreal, like the principal
It
crew.
was? I
Yeah,
didn't
the
know that.
director was in Montreal, was an NFB director. Ivan Reitman was the producer, who was in Toronto at the time. So it's a Canadian film officially. The original film was made, and they only cleared the music rights for theatrical. So that's why it never came out on VHS or DVD.
Oh, I see.
So
Okay.
it was caught in like a legal rights issue for many, many years. It's gone through many different hands. I don't know. I mean, Evan was obsessed with it because it became a cult classic, and it's influenced so many animators today, influenced musicians. It influenced a lot of different people, and a lot of people who worked on it went off to have these great big careers. So he wanted to make a film
That's crazy. I guess it's
about
like
these people.
John Candy. I didn't realize that. Eh?
John Candy's one of the voices.
Oh, right, yeah.
All those Schitt's Creek guy. What's his name?
Levy.
I think Eugene Levy's in it. Harold Ramis is a voice.
Really? It's
in
basically Ghostbusters.
it. Yeah. There's a lot of and a lot of the animators. One of the main animators went off to work with James Cameron on a bunch of
Jim Cameron.
Jim Cameron. Yeah.
I see you're on.
Jimmy
You're on short name basis.
So it ignited the careers of many people, and the director he lives in the Eastern Townships.
Which is just outside of Montreal.
Gerald Potterton, and Gerald Potterton, the director of Heavy Metal,
Yeah.
did the last film with Buster Keaton.
What?
Yeah.
Really? Oh my God.
So he's got and it's funny for him because he's a British guy, came to Montreal, serious person. He makes these NFB films. He was nominated for an Oscar for the NFB. He's a serious animator, and he gets this gig, and he's like, fine, and he ends up working with a bunch of stoners who just want to draw like tits and ass and blood.
Dragons.
And he's like, fine, he's fucking whatever. I think to him it was just a contract, and now this is what he's most known for.
Yeah. There's
It's
so
very
many-
funny because it's like this fucking movie that I hate.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't seen this. So this is the trailer for a movie that will never see
This
the
is
light
the
of day.
demo, the trailer that we made to try to sell. I'm not sure if this is the one your brother did or if someone else
Okay.
did.
Okay,
It looks
well,
long. It's 4 minutes.
4 minutes.
Yeah, well, you don't have to play the whole thing.
All right, let's have a look, and we can always
and
come
I
in
can
and
say
talk about
stop
it.
at some point. Yeah, you can talk. We'll hear the heavy metal music.
Nice.
Kieran shot that. Yeah, these guys, super fans. That's the music for heavy metal.
When I see the 15 men come out of the space shuttle and he's turning when the astronaut is driving it, the adrenaline just hits me and it's
This guy's a dentist. Your brother did do this.
Going in from the logo to the eerie Elmer Bernstein music, right into Radar Rider, and then you're in for a ride for the next hour and a half.
Animation at the time was mostly geared to children's films. Heavy metal was a departure because it was probably the first X-rated animation film.
There you go.
There's the artistic thing, but there's all the giggling things of like, I think that was the first time I saw animated boobies.
You wanted to turn the TV off when Mom entered the room. You felt guilty, like, looking at it.
The guy who did. Can I speak or?
We can
No, it's
talk
okay.
now. Yeah.
It took us places that we'd never.
The guy who created Kevin Eastman, who created Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, he bought heavy metal at one point. It's okay, you don't have to stop. I was just rambling. But.
Yeah. No, we'll just talk under it while it's playing.
Sorry. Anyway, you don't even have to keep playing it. It's just, it's funny. It was good, It's too bad that we didn't get it done. Maybe we should try to revisit it.
Revisit it.
Yeah.
Right. Well, so you're a big metal fan, right?
Yeah.
You like metal?
Definitely. I mean, probably not as much as Fred, but I grew up definitely listening to a lot of metal.
I'm a big metal fan of the metal I grew up listening to, like Iron Maiden, Metallica.
Right.
I don't listen, like new metal, I have no idea.
Where do you stand on Norwegian black metal?
See, I mean, that probably is a little out there for me.
Right. So I had a chance to see this new movie, Lords of Chaos.
Right.
I don't know if you guys have heard much about it, but it's Jonas Ackerlund, who's
Right.
a video director, who's done, I mean, amazing stuff. Like he did Ray of Light for Madonna, and he did Telephone, Lady Gaga, and Beyonce.
Yeah, a Prodigy video.
Smack My Bitch Up.
Yeah.
Probably my favorite video of all time.
That's awesome.
Amazing video. And so he made this movie about the origins of the Norwegian black metal scene. And
It's a fiction?
it's the true story of how, because there were church burnings, there were murders, there were
Right.
suicides, and it's all based on true fact. There was a band called Mayhem that was started by a guy who went by the name Euronymous, and then he partnered up with a guy named Varg, who also went by the name The Count, and Count Grishnak, I think, and they were wearing corpse paint and they were burning churches, and the rumors that one band member ate another's brain and all this kind of stuff. And so the idea of them making a movie about this, I thought, hey, cool. And directed by Jonas Ackerlund, who he himself was the drummer of a band called Bathory that was influential in Sweden, that influenced Mayhem and some of those bands that came after. So I was thinking, okay, this is going to be, and it's made by Vice. So I had a chance to see it. Let's have a look at the trailer just to contextualize, and then I'll let you guys know. I have my ways.
Okay. But I mean, did it come out in theaters? Is it coming?
Depending where. I think in Montreal it's actually playing. It's just coming out this week. I think in the States it's going to be coming out soonish. I'm not sure exactly when, but you could probably find it online or pirate it somehow.
But is that Cinema Park? Or whatever.
We'll figure it out. Okay. Let's have a look at Lords of Chaos.
Chaos.
Life was easy back then. It was all about having fun, drinking beer, playing hard and loud music. And then everything changed. Vard, the lone wolf, hereby appoint you bass player of Mayhem.
We have to take this to the next level.
But you said it yourself. We should burn them all down.
If you do this, we're did it.
A terror has swept across Norway. Police have described the murder as extremely violent.
Either you do it for the cause, you take action, or you do it because you want attention. You can't have it both ways.
The suspect, known as the Count, has
You pretend to be my friend so you can hit me off guard?
Why do you care about him so much?
I thought you were a true Norwegian black metal. I invented it.
Now you betray it.
No. You have history, this vision. You were in control. You were a leader. Still be all of those things if you wanted to.
Everyone around you are disgusting little insects. Let's go!
Pull the trigger!
Hi, Bill, it's Dad. We're going to the summer house and we would love it if you come.
Was their music good, Mayhem?
It depends. I mean, if you're into Norwegian black metal, then it's, interestingly enough, though, the movie doesn't really focus that much on the music portion. It really is the backstory.
Right.
And I have to say, it stayed with me. Like, it's one of those movies that so many movies are disposable these days.
Right.
So many movies just wash right over you. This one stuck to me, but I'm just, something about the choice of actors.
Okay.
Rory Culkin playing Euronymous and Emery Cohen playing
He looks
Varg.
really young in it, Emery Cohen. Did they shoot this a while ago?
I don't think so.
No, eh?
But and the choice of American accents,
right?
It just felt very American and very Hollywoodized.
Right.
And so, as much as the Norwegian black metal, lines like, I am the true inventor, or I'm the inventor of true Norwegian black metal, it felt clunky and too much exposition and like American bros playing Norwegian black metal guys.
That's what I was saying. I wonder how the Swedes feel about it.
Yeah, exactly.
What the fuck's this?
And the big question for me is Jonas Åkerlund, it's not like it was done by Jim Cameron.
Right.
This is a guy who lived it. This is a guy who, who inspired the movement. So I'm so confused as to why. I mean, where do you guys stand? Money.
But I mean, we're going to pay for it. It's going to be in English. That's exactly what it was.
But why not put accents, or why not?
Because then, it's kind of ridiculous.
I'm actually a fan of sometimes movies. Like, I feel like a lot of those like World War II movies that you see, and then like
German
Captain
accents.
Corelli's mandolin, and it's like, hey, look at me, it's me, I'm like Nicolas Cage, I'm Italian. You're just like, this is so fucking stupid. But there's a couple of them where they do it, and they're just like I feel like there's just a recognizing the artifice of it and being like, just speak normally. Like, you ever see the movie that Tim Blake Nelson did, The Grey Room, about the Holocaust?
It seems to be a theme of our show.
Yeah, exactly. It's a very Holocaust-heavy episode. But they just didn't say, everybody just speaks like it's set in like a concentration camp, but they're all just American actors speaking. And for some reason, I don't know, I feel like sometimes just like, it just helps us kind of get into what it, like we can relate to it a lot easier if you kind of hear something where you're like, this sounds like the way that I speak, that it's like, okay, like if this is made for North American audiences, it's gonna feel phony having like David Schwimmer using like a fucking German accent or whatever.
But it's funny because you're right, because you watch those old movies from the 40s, and they have the bad Germans who are speaking English but with German accents. And it's kind of stupid.
Yeah, and it's like I think too. We know, we're like as audience members, like I feel like that thing of just like we understand that there is a certain amount of artifice here. What is it going to help? North American audiences, the bigger audience, who they're really trying to tap. Is it going to help them just sort of ease into the story a little bit better by having them speak English?
The truth is that they're going to get a fair audience to see this, let's say. And if it was in Swedish, they'd have no audience.
Oh yeah, that's true. But yeah,
I mean, they'd have some audience, but a very small one. It's the same thing with, it's a discussion like for documentaries too. All the time we have that discussion. Do you want, I have broadcasters who say, I'm giving it to a French broadcaster, they're going to dub it. The director's pissed off that they're dubbing it, but he's like, if I don't dub it, 60% of the people are turning it off.
That's true.
Or more. And he's like, do you want people to watch it or not watch it? That's the choice you're getting at a certain point.
Where do you stand on dubbing versus subtitles?
I mean,
it depends. Like with documentaries, it's different.
Yeah.
There's accents. We have this film, Leaving the Fold. It's in Hebrew, it's in French, it's in English. It's dubbed throughout. It's great. It's the clearest version. There's no accents.
Right.
It's like, boom. Everything's clear,
understand.
you understand everything that's being said.
My girlfriend is French speaking, and when we watch movies at home, like she's often watching the French channels, and they're often dubbed. And to me, that disconnect of you seeing someone's mouth move and not hearing it, that always distracts me. Whereas I don't mind reading the stuff on the screen.
Sure.
To me, that you're losing a whole half of the performance.
It's weird though. I feel like
I prefer subtitles.
Yeah.
But I understand that the general public doesn't.
There's certain things though too. Like I remember growing up watching Japanimations, and a lot of time because it was a VHS, you didn't have a choice. Like you couldn't select subtitles or dubbing, so you'd watch a lot of them dubbed, and then you kind of like begin to like that's the way you first discovered the film, and like you have a hard time separating it. Like every once in a while, like Akira or something like that. Like if I watch it again, and I'm just like, okay, I should put on the subtitles and then you're just like, I kind of miss like that weird, like, because you know that there's not even like the actors that got to do the dub probably aren't even that good, and like there was just like weird sort of like inflections in the performance and stuff, and like I'm nostalgic for it. They talk about that too with Blade Runner, like the original, like the theatrical cut, how it's got that really corny voiceover, like Harrison Ford reluctantly did a voiceover for the studio, and that's when they released with it, and it's like he just sounds like completely despondent and like sarcastic. But like a lot of filmmakers, like I grew up with that version. Like I have a hard time watching it without it. Just
so nostalgia is the factor
like that kind of thing. So like I feel like with the dubbing sometimes it can sort of have that sort of feeling, you know, especially something that you saw when you were younger. If you saw it for the first time, it was dubbed. And you're kind of like, oh, you know what? Like, that's how I remember that movie, you know?
Well, you know what? I love really bad made-for-TV dubbing.
Right.
Like, in
Like
fact, I want to do...
with the cutting out the swear words?
Yeah, like, remember Darkman?
Yeah.
You know the scene where it says, take the fucking elephant.
Yeah.
But on TV, take the fuzzy elephant.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yippee-ki-yay, Mr. Falcon? It's like, there's no Mr. Falcon in this movie. Who the fuck is he talking about?
This is the
Actually,
that for Die Hard, he goes, yippee-ki-yay, Mr. Falcon.
If you guys have any favorites or any questions or anything you want to let us know in the chats. One of my favorite bad dub for TVs is I think is it the Big Lebowski?
They tried to do that one with no swearing in it?
Wait, I'm trying to remember. You see what happens when you try to find a stranger in the Alps?
Yeah, that's crazy. That one, Goodfellas too. I remember they used to have like a made for. You're just like, what's the point? And even
Exactly.
it's like a made up like language at this point. There's like nobody speaks like this. That's funny.
Okay, I have. We're into the funny stuff. We're gonna play a little game here.
Okay.
I call it Tagline Trivia. So I'm gonna list off some taglines of movies.
Okay.
And you have to tell me what movie you think it is.
These are real taglines?
These are real taglines from real movies.
To real movies.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So this is the trivia portion of our show. Okay. 8 legs, 2 fangs, and an attitude.
Arachnophobia?
Wow. Okay, right off the bat. Not
That was
bad.
good.
1990
They should
Arachnophobia.
do a remake of that movie.
Is that or Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Venom.
Earth. It was fun while it lasted.
Independence Day?
You're
No,
close.
what's that one with the tidal wave? They filmed it.
The Mimi
in
Rogers one?
bunker.
Day after
Deep
tomorrow.
Impact?
Tomorrow?
Nope. But basically, Armageddon. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Armageddon's good, yeah.
Yeah.
I like that
Okay.
movie. It's a good movie.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
I guess I'd have
It's
to
on-
rewatch it.
Malcolm script doctored that movie.
Did he really?
Who
What
did?
did he add to it? Did he
I
ever
don't
tell
know.
you?
Malcolm Clark, the
Oh, the-
director of Lady Number 6, script
No
doctored
kidding.
Armageddon.
Look. I mean, we're...
It's all the
Okay. Everybody has one special thing.
Boogie Nights.
Yes!
Yeah.
These guys are amazing. Okay. Let's do the next one. Hold on. The next one, we'll open it up to anyone on the chat who may or may not... this is a good one. The true story of a real fake. Don't say it if you think you know it. The true story...
Is it Lars and the Real Girl?
Well, it's not, but don't say it because we're going to wait
That's
and
a
see
great
if...
fucking movie.
That is a great movie. Yeah.
Lars and the Real Girl?
Did you see it?
Yeah, I didn't like it.
We'll see if we get any
I like Ryan
reactions on that
Gosling though, but I did not take to
Good
it.
movie, man.
No? Okay. Escape or die frying?
Or die frying? Shocker?
That was a great movie. Was that the guy in the... No, I'll give you a hint. It's claymation. Or stop
the
motion.
Chicken
Run.
Chicken Run. There you go. Okay. You'll crack up. Y-U-L-E.
Nice little play on words there.
Elf? No.
You'll crack up. I'm gonna guess like Santa Claus, one of those
Christmas
movies. Santa
Vacation?
Claus 1 or 2.
Christmas Vacation.
Oh.
Nice. Well done. All right. Moving right along.
They're the only ones in my...
Just because they serve you doesn't mean they like you.
Oh, it's a waiter one. Not the Slam and Salmon.
I'll give you a hint. 1994.
Clerks? No.
Yes.
Yeah, Clerks. Yeah.
Yes, good one. All right. Keeping going. One dream. Oh, this is too easy. One dream for Jamaicans, 20 below zero.
Oh, I know this one. Schindler's List.
Keeping in theme with our show tonight. Yeah.
Cool Runnings.
Yes. You guys are amazing at this. Okay.
I believe it.
You're going to nail them.
See it with a bud.
Dazed and Confused?
Yes. You guys are spot on. Okay.
We should be writing these. This is like our fucking calling.
After a night they can't remember comes a day they'll never forget.
The cars there, the Dude, Where's My Car?
I mean, I'm amazed. Okay. Yeah.
Are people not usually as good at this?
Well, this is just episode 2. So
Oh, yeah, you're right.
The stunt guy wasn't so good.
For Harry and Lloyd, every day is a no-brainer.
Nice. Dumb and Dumber.
There you go. All right. Let's see if you get this. His story will touch you, even though he can't.
Memoirs of an Invisible Man?
No. Okay, this is good. I'll give you some hints. 1990.
Yeah. Based on a true story?
Definitely not based on a true story. No.
Okay.
If I tell you who's in it, okay, Tim Burton.
Tim Burton. Oh, it's
Is it Tim Burton?
who directed it?
Yeah. I could be wrong. Maybe it's not Tim Burton. Was it Tim Burton? Well, you don't know what I'm talking about. Okay.
The story will touch you.
Johnny Depp.
Is Edward Scissorhands?
Yes.
Yeah. That's Tim Burton.
That is Tim
Yeah.
Burton.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay. That one's too easy. She bought a small town to its feet and a huge corporation to its knees.
Brockovich.
There you go. A lot can happen in the middle of nowhere.
Fargo.
Holy shit. Okay.
That's a great tagline, though.
One man struggle to take it easy?
Big Lebowski?
No.
The Big Easy?
No. Okay, here we go. 1986.
Okay.
One man struggled to take it easy.
Chicago.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, we're having some fun here. Okay.
I don't know if he's really taking it easy.
Well,
he's kind of just having a
Skipping
day
school.
off. Yeah, he's skipping school.
it feels like that's a movie that they should reboot.
I feel like he would. You remember they did a TV show?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I feel like it's like those are those movies where it's like you just like Back to the Future. It's like it's perfect. It's fucking like you don't need to reboot it, reimagine it. Like just let it be this one thing. You know, they want to do like Ferris Bueller's like day off of work, like when he's an adult. And you're like, Ferris Bueller will always be a teenager. Like that's it. You don't want nobody cares about what he's like. You know, when he's like 50 and fucking with like kids, and you know, it's like he's just that. That's it. It's
He
one
forever
day.
lives.
Yeah.
And let's stop with the fucking reboots. There's a lot of good ideas out there.
I couldn't agree more. But have there been any reboots that you've appreciated?
They've come out.
I don't know.
Weigh in if there's a reboot that you like, let us know.
I mean, maybe. Big deal. Who cares? I shouldn't make him.
No more reboots.
What about sequels? Can you think of any sequels that are better than the original?
Sure. I mean, you know, maybe.
I think
a lot of people say
Godfather 2
yeah, exactly.
could be.
Yeah.
It's a little bit denser. I mean,
Rambo. No,
Aliens.
Rambo 1's good.
Rambo 1 is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people, think the second
Canadian
Aliens.
director.
Of Rambo
1.
Who was it?
Kochev. Bob Kochev.
Okay. Well, by the way, speaking of Stallone, I would venture to say, as great as the first Rocky was, maybe 3 or even 4.
Right.
You know, especially music-wise.
It's that big.
The Rocky franchise continued to.
Empire Strikes Back.
Oh,
for sure.
That's good. Okay, so
Empire Strikes Back
Bendo
is
Nintendo
It's
says,
way better.
Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah. Very classy, the direction.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. When George Lucas wasn't behind the camera, you can see like Empire
he
Strikes
didn't-
Back looks like a real movie.
He didn't direct Empire Strikes Back?
No, he didn't do any of them. He only did for like the original trilogy. He just did Star Wars,
Oh,
and then
really?
Irving Kershner, who's like a super classy director, like theater background and everything. And when you watch, like when you compare the two of them, you're like, it's something that I only kind of realized when I was older, just because when you're a kid, you're just like, oh, the first one, Star Wars. And then you watch Empire Strikes Back, and you're like, it's so just so moody, and like the blocking, like it's like a real heavy duty, serious film compared to the first one. The first one feels like a real kind of B movie a lot of the time,
For sure, yeah, especially with the effects and everything.
Yeah.
But something I was talking about last episode with our guest is how I'm surprised to learn that for millennials, the prequels are not to be shat upon.
Yeah.
That the prequels are beloved because that's the nostalgia that you and I were just
That's
talking
so
about.
funny.
That's so funny because they're so shit.
That could be the tagline.
Yeah. It's funny because they're on Showcase now. Like a lot, they'll show like marathons of them. So because I would never. I mean, the Phantom Menace, like we were still pretty, like 18, I think, when it came out, and I remember just being like, "This is gonna be the most important film of my life," and like really trying to enjoy it and like trying to get, and then just the second one, Attack, you're just like, I don't know, these movies.
Oh, the second one was brutal.
Yeah, and then like the third one, you're like, oh, mate, no, and it's fucking garbage as well. So it was like, it's. I think the thing that's the most difficult about them is like they could have been so cool, like. They could have been amazing, amazing movies if he just decided not to write and direct them. If
Even
he had
the
done
most recent ones are, what was that, the New Hope or whatever the fuck it was called? The girl?
Last Jedi?
Right. Well, the first...
Last Jedi?
The one that just came out?
The girl Luke Skywalker?
Yeah?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, there was The Last Jedi and before the Force Awakens.
Yeah.
Was that the first?
Force Awakens was,
That's
the
J.J.
Abrams one,
yeah.
and then Ryan Johnson did Last Jedi. I actually like The Last Jedi, so
I went to see that one with the girl Jedi, whatever it's called.
The girl Jedi.
That's what it was called,
And
The Girl Jedi.
like-
What was the tagline? she might be a girl, but she can swing a lightsaber.
No, but it's one of those movies. I wanted to love it.
Yeah.
And it was a carbon copy of The New Hope. Is that what it's called? The first one?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it was so disappointing. I was like, I can't believe you wasted my time.
No,
but I mean, really, like...
Yeah, I know. J.J. Abrams,
you know,
like, his movies is too much, like, people running around. Like, there's, like, all of his movies, like that Star Trek reboot. Like, I'm not a huge Star Trek person, but people that I know, people that love Star Trek, are just like, that is not a Star Trek movie at all. Like, it's like a corny action movie that, like, is like a complete slap in the face to Star Trek fans.
Yeah, for sure.
He's like...
Well, then again, J.J. Abrams, he still does have the touch, though. Like, I haven't really... maybe the more recent Cloverfields got a little
Actually,
bit...
that movie Super 8 was not good that he did.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I liked his Mission Impossible movie.
The Bourne movie sequels are quite good.
That's right. That's true.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ultimatum might be better than Identity.
Ultimatum is that still Matt Damon, or is that...
Supremacy's... I actually think Supremacy, out of those, the first three, I thought that was the best one.
They're all mashed together for me.
There's a lot of porn movies.
I think we're actually coming to the end of the show. An hour and a half has already gone by.
That's amazing. It just flew by.
But I'm going to ask one more question that I'm going to try and throw into every episode.
Yeah.
So we all have celebrity or movie actor, character doppelgangers.
Right.
Who's yours?
I think a lot of people think I look like Nicolas Cage in Valley Girl.
Okay, good.
I've heard that one, and I think Steve Buscemi a little bit. I feel like there's some people. I would like to think of Steve Buscemi from an Adam Sandler movie.
Very good. He's been in pretty much all of them, right?
Yeah, he's in all of them, I think, or at least has a cameo in a lot of the major movies.
Right.
Sandler's.
Maybe the pre-Netflix deal days. What about you, Fred?
I don't know. I mean, I haven't had longer hair and a beard. Some people said Matthew McConaughey.
Oh, that's not a bad one.
But he's a weirdo.
I
don't know. What do you think?
No,
that's what I get.
Weird Al Yankovic.
Yeah.
I get one of two, and one I really like, and the other I think is a fine, hilarious actor. But so anyways, the one that I like is when people say I look like Bradley Cooper because Bradley Cooper, cool, sure, why not? The other one I get often is Seth Rogen, and nothing against Seth Rogen.
I'm surprised they don't. Is what's his face from Out of Sight and Steve? The fuck is his name?
Oh. Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
He's a good character actor. He's
with a Z.
Yeah. What the fuck is his name?
Yeah. He was in Tarantino.
Oh,
he was the guy with
I have a
the
new
heroin
doppelganger.
guy. In,
No, that's Eric
Stoltz.
Eric Stoltz.
Eric Stoltz,
Yeah,
right,
no, but you're the other one, Steve. Yeah,
Zane or
Steve Zane.
Is it or
Zane.
Zahn? Or?
Zahn, Steve Zahn. Yeah.
Okay, I'll take that. That's kind of somewhere between those
he's
two.
great. He's an awesome actor.
But the thing with Seth Rogen, hilarious, good actor.
Yeah.
But the premise of a lot of movies is she's going to have sex with that guy.
Yeah, the schlub.
So
this disgusting
don't necessarily
Jew.
That's the guy that I want to be.
I don't see Seth Rogen that much.
I can't do the laugh, that's for sure. So yeah, we got to wrap it up. I want to thank you both of you. So what do you guys have coming up? Are you both working on projects?
Yeah, we were doing one. We were developing a true story about Montreal biker gangs and people that try to steal from them and all the bad stuff that happens.
So from cars to bikes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're still cars. They're just bikers.
Yeah. Apparently, from our research, bikers don't actually really.
They only ride bikes on special occasions.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
They don't want to have anything to do with motorcycles.
So is this like Hell's Angels Rock Machine? Like a fictional version of that?
No, it's actually
based on a true story.
Oh, really? And you guys have the rights and everything?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a published story. It's an old friend of mine.
Nice. Okay, so what can do you have a title?
No.
No.
Okay. Gotcha. You also have Fake It Till
You Are What You Act.
So yeah, You Are What You Act.
It's coming out on
That would be a good
iTunes. It
tagline
plays
for
on
it.
Documentary Channel right now. It's playing April 23rd, I think, again. It's playing across Canada in different venues here and there.
And this is a documentary about...
It's a documentary about fake it till you make it. And the science behind it. Can you actually fake it till you make it?
Albert
Nuremberg is the director. And we have a bunch of other docs that have just come out or are coming out or we're in production on. So bunburyfilms.com, you can find it.
bunburyfilms.com. And if people want to reach out to you, your socials, anything you want to put out there?
Yeah, it's all Bunbury Films. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
Cool. What about you, Darren?
Yeah, same thing. I have all my work is on my website, which is like for both commercial work and film stuff. So it's Actaeon Photo. It's fucking annoying to spell. ACTAEON photo.com.
What's the why?
You know, it's so old. Like when I initially set it up, it used to be SEO for websites, where it's just alphabetical order. So somebody was like, if you start your company starts with the letter A, then you'll get put at the top of. I was like, okay, so I just looked it up, and Actaeon, from I think it's like Greek mythology, he was a hunter who gazed upon one of the goddesses bathing and was eaten by his own dogs. So thought that was a good.
There's a great
good
script
irony.
for a movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Good irony for somebody who's into fashion photography. It's like,
right
so we
on.
use that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for precipitating. Tomorrow, we have another show. This is a very exciting show. It's Friend Request with our friend Julian Stamboulé, who's right over there. You want to come and say hi? Nope. All right, well, you'll have to tune in tomorrow to catch Julian, and we'll be back next week. I'm not sure which camera I'm looking at, so I'll look at this one over here. We'll be back next week with more fun movie talk, more tagline trivia, and a bunch of surprises. Thanks a lot.
Tell me why'd you have to go and drive me so crazy? Now I'm feeling lost without you, and I just can't be without you, baby. Want you all night long, want you all night long. Tell me why'd you have to go and drive me so crazy? Now I'm feeling lost without you, and I just can't be without you, baby. Want you all night long, want you all night long, want you all night, watch 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 all night. Tell me why'd you have to go and drive me so crazy? Now I'm feeling lost without you, and I just can't be without you, baby. Want you all night long, want you all night long. Tell me, baby, you and I just